Grab your cup. Earlier this week, I mentioned that April is Stress Awareness Month, and it's a whole month because it's a big deal. When you stay in a dysregulated nervous system state, which is what stress is, it's dysregulated. When we're regulated, we're in peace and calm, but when we're in a dysregulated nervous system, there's a huge impact. And I talked earlier this week in a live and over a cup of coffee about the health ramifications of that, how that affects autoimmune conditions. There's a link to cancer, gut issues. There's a whole list of physical health issues that dysregulation will cause or really contribute to. Number one will be the number one thing why those things get triggered on. Because your nervous system is the master controller of your body. The nervous system is telling every other system how to function. So if it's dysregulated, so is everything else. Today I want to talk about how that affects your communication style, your communication skills, because not only is your physical health, all of your body shifting and how it functions, but so is your brain. Your brain is shifting out of good problem solving, good communication, being curious and interested in what another person has to say, right? That's good communication skills. And then contributing. Your brain goes to a different place. And a lot of times, people have been in a dysregulated state their whole lives. It feels very normal, but this is how they live their life. So as I go through these, I'm going to go through each of the 4 states that you could be in when you're dysregulated, when you're stuck in stress. I just am going to invite you to look at your personal communication style. I'm sure other people in your life are going to come to mind, like, oh yeah, that's what my ex-husband was like, or my partner is, or this person at work. But there's 2 people communicating all the time. And so your best power, the best outcome is to look at yourself and how you're part of any dynamic that you're in. What is it that you do? Okay, so there's 4 states when we are stuck in stress, and then these states affect how we communicate that I'm going to go through. And the first one is fight, right? You've heard of fight or flight. So the motivation behind somebody who's stuck in fight is, I need to be right. I will be right. I will prove to you that I'm right. That's the main thought. And so how do they do that? They're going to interrupt you and not let you speak. They're going to bully you. They're going to drive their point home. They're going to gaslight you. No, I never said that. They are going to make sure that they are right at all costs. They might shout, right? Just it's an anger response. So shouting, bullying, gaslighting, interrupting, not listening. And then what it's like for the other person on the other end of that communication is to feel not listened to, is to feel like they're bullied. And if they stay in relationship with that person, then they're going to have to shut down because the other person is going to demand it. Okay? It's the only way that dynamic can work. If you don't shut down, then that other person has to shift as well. They just have to. Okay, the second state that you could be in is flight. And the main motivating thought behind someone who's stuck in a flight state is, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to deal with this. So they're going to deflect. When an issue comes up, they deflect. They say, I want to talk about it later. They get defensive. So they're very much defending their position all the time. They avoid the conversation altogether. And then afterwards, when if there has been a conversation, they overthink. And what it's like to be in a communication with that person is you feel like you're hearing a lot of excuses all the time. Why we can't talk about this now. You feel frustrated because you're not ever really getting to the bottom of an issue. Okay? The third state that you could be in, is fight, flight, freeze. Sorry. got distracted. Freeze. And a person who's stuck in a freeze state is like it sounds. They're frozen. And when you feel like you're there, the driving motivation for that is, I don't know what to do. So in flight is, I don't want to. In freeze, it's, I don't know. There's almost like a numbness. They feel very stuck all the time. So they're stuck in conversations. They feel stuck in their life. They feel, they just don't feel safe in listening or replying. They sort of take themselves away. So they might zone out during conversations. They definitely will zone out during arguments. They, when I say zone out, I mean like spacing out, like, there's a sense that they're not there because they take themselves away. Their way of coping is, I don't know what to do. I'm going to dissociate and take myself away from here. So they don't reply. They, maybe don't answer because they're not really listening. And what it's like for the other person who's in a communication experience with someone stuck in freeze is they feel like they never get a response because they don't, which means we never really get to a resolution. They feel like there's no acknowledgement. And what they might be told a lot is, I've just been busy. I've been busy. I'll get back to you. But they're never going to get back to you because they are stuck and they just don't know how to take action. The fourth state that someone could be in when their nervous system is dysregulated is a place called fawn. And fawning means taking care of everybody else, fawning over everyone. Their motivating thought behind how they communicate is, I got to make everybody happy. I want to make everybody happy. I'm only comfortable when everybody else is happy. So what would they do? They'll have no boundaries. They're just going to say yes to people. There's no boundaries, even if they're exhausted or disagree. They won't assert themselves. They tend to have a lot of codependency. As long as you're happy, then I'm okay. That's codependency, right? So that's how they get their own self-worth, is making sure you're okay, and they will do it at the expense of themselves. So when you're in conversation with them or a conflict and their communication is only about making you happy, well, for somebody who's in fight mode, that feels pretty good because they want to be right. And so the person in fawn is going to keep making them happy, so just letting them be right. And that's why that dynamic often ends up together, because that works. I get to bully you, you get to tell me, okay, whatever you want, and we're good. Except that there's a lot of dysfunction and conflicts never get resolved, right? But if you're not in that fight state and you're with somebody who's in fawning, it's like, come on, I want to know what you want. I want to know what's important to you. They feel like nothing ever changes, that the person is attentive, but then nothing ever changes. And that's very frustrating too. And the person who's stuck in the fawn mode is stuck feeling like they're resentful, right? They're resentful and exhausted. They're the ones doing it, but there is a resentment inside because they feel like their needs aren't being met because they're not. But it's them doing that, okay? So those are the 4 states of a dysregulated nervous system and the way that each of those states would communicate. So if you have issues in how you communicate in relationships, I invite you to look at where am I stuck in? How much have I really learned how to regulate my body and my nervous system? And how's my health? Do I sleep well? Do I have digestive issues? Do I feel fatigued? How's my energy level? They're all related. It's not separate issues. So your communication, your health can tell you how your nervous system is going. All of that work, if you really want to take that on and change these patterns in your life, your health patterns, your communication, your relationships, drop me a comment. That's the work that I do. I would be happy to speak with you and clear my calendar, okay? Be stress-free. Have a good day.